So I've had a composing stick in my hand since the age of 6, and one time I went back to New Zealand to see a friend of my father's who had helped him set up the press and take trailers full of old printing equipment from Martinborough and other places in New Zealand. And he was in his 90s, and I told him that I'd started up this establishment, and he disappeared for a moment, and he came back and he said, "This is your father's composing stick." So I'd managed to accumulate all this printing equipment, and then I wondered what on earth to do with it. I really had no idea. I didn't really have any patience with the idea of hand setting a page of a book and then printing that sheet and then dissing it all again, and then hand setting another page and then dissing it. So my father needed to have material for his students to set by hand so they could learn how to do it. I discovered that poetry was perhaps a good thing. And the other thing that I've tried to do is to make not just a book of poetry, but a beautiful object that people will enjoy for all those aspects, not just for reading the poetry. Oh, it's lunchtime. Printing letterpress is a physical process, so for every letter of every typeface of every size you need a physical object to press against the paper. Every single letter of every single typeface of every single style of every single size is a physical object, and it needs a separate physical object. And these days, when these things aren't manufactured in general anymore, of course you're limited to the typefaces that were in vogue up until about 1960. One of the nice things that happened in the 1930s with monotype was that they looked at so many historical models, and they went back to the archives, and so you can actually get in modern monotype form all these classical typefaces which people have used for the last 400 years. So, you know, do you really need Comic Sans when you've got Garamond or any Bembo or any of these other things? In some ways it's quite liberating to have a restricted choice. I receive artwork from people that they've decided, oh, this needs to be 22 point, this needs to be 11.5 point, all this sort of thing. No, it doesn't. There's a nicely arranged set of sizes that have been designed and used for the last 500 years that perfectly serves the purpose, and the relationship between the different sizes has been perfectly thought out. So I think even in this digital age, people still want to make things essentially by hand, and there's an appreciation of things that are made by hand, and that this process that we use here will continue, and I mean, I hope it will continue.